is just uh we'll both all of us will touch on what happened last night, because that was, like I said, I've seen that one time live at a college baseball game, and that was it. And I've never heard of it in football before, and seeing that, I was just like, I saw us. At first, I thought it was like a delayed concussion or something,
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and that kind of, and then when it came up the way it did, and how long did they do? Was it 9 minutes or something like that?
I think it was a little longer than that.
I was
I was
thinking
watching
there's,
it live, so
yeah,
and they just kept taking commercial breaks, but you didn't really understand how long it actually was, or how long he was actually down
yeah,
because of that. And yeah, they were saying they were, uh, doing CPR for about over 9 minutes, 10 minute
mm-hmm.
mark.
That's what
And
I was. That's what I was seeing. Like 9 minutes of CPR, that his heart
yeah,
stopped, and they couldn't get him
now
to start
eventually they got
breathing.
oxygen. Yeah, and eventually I think
Mm-hmm.
they got some form of post oxygen and got him into the ambulance, but that still was all in a matter of like 20 minutes,
Yeah.
roughly, I think.
Yeah,
So
that's scary stuff, man. That
yeah.
is scary stuff. I guess a lot of donations to his.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
like,
think it's over.
Foundation.
I think it's like 2 million now.
oh, I think it's more than
Yeah.
that. I think
Oh,
it's.
it's
I
more
think
than
it's.
that.
I think
Okay.
it's like 4.5.
I was about to say, yeah. Last
Jesus.
time I looked,
Mm-hmm.
it went from almost to 1 million to over 2 million now.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think 20 minutes ago I looked and it was like 4.5 million. I was like, wow, you know. But
Hmm.
from what I,
Buffalo fans are notorious for looking out for people's foundation too. They do it. They do it a lot.
well, I mean, there's a lot of named people out there. That's also, people who you just like. Chris Jericho was just dropping 5,000 after 5,000 after 5,000. I don't
Yeah.
know where he's from, but
Yeah, I think this probably extended past or past the Bills Mafia. But they
yeah,
Yeah,
they
for
do have
sure.
a very strong presence at
Yeah.
and known, like Jerraud said, at doing that.
yeah, yeah. We'll also talk a little. Obviously, we'll start off and we'll talk a little bit about the game this past Sunday. Um, and we'll talk about the game first, and then for Sunday, and then we'll get into uh, what happened last night for the regular NFL one, for the most part, and then we'll get into the preview uh, against the Texans this final week. But real, has there been any? I know there during the season, there probably hasn't been any talks between you and the Colts organization about an extension or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
No, I figured probably not during regular season because I didn't know what was going on there. Oh,
Yep.
we don't even know who our head coach is going to be. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack. A
Oh
lot
my
to figure out this
god.
off season. Very
Yeah,
busy.
we'll talk a lot about that probably week 19.
Right.
Because we won't have a game to go over anyhow. Uh, but all right,
Unfortunately.
yeah, that sucks. But all right, are we all ready?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, all right. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Bleav in Colts podcast.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, are my guys Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. And today we are going to go over the Week 17 loss to the New York Football Giants. And my goodness, that talked about for like the last month or so about the losses and how big they have been and different aspects of the game. Daniel Jones looked absolutely amazing in this game. Jerraud, what's your initial overall thoughts about this game?
It just looked like, two different teams. One team knew that they won that game, they clinched a playoff spot, and another team still trying to figure out, how to get things fixed. Daniel Jones looked motivated. I read something to where the head coach kind of gave Daniel Jones, I guess boss status to where he did the schedule for the week, and he went with what Daniel Jones wanted to do. So it just shows you how much they believe in Daniel Jones, and I think he earned himself, an extension and will be the New York Giants quarterback for the future here on out, because there was a lot of questions about Daniel Jones going into this season. Can he be the franchise guy? But I think he's proved this season that he's the guy going forward.
Rodney, what's your thoughts overall about what happened this past Sunday?
I think defensively, Daniel Jones was a valuable weapon. Not only passing the ball, but he really extended plays, design run plays. They were all very effective and helped them, win and kind of take control of the game on Sunday. And of course, it's disappointing. We understand and knew the impact that he would have for that offense, particularly in the run game. But some things they also did that were unscouted looks, and so you have to credit them for a good game plan. Versus one of the best defenses, in the league, and especially against the run. We kept Saquon contained. I think he may have had like one explosive run that hit maybe in the third quarter, but outside of that, it was a quarterback play, quarterback scramble for 30, 40 yards. Jerraud knows, as a defender, man, when you're having to compete against, receivers and quarterback, it makes your job that much greater. And so that's what we saw on Sunday. And we obviously couldn't contain him, and that resulted in a loss for us. So Daniel Jones is much improved from what I've seen over the course of my past couple seasons, being with the Eagles. And Jerraud said, like, you could tell, he's gaining a lot of respect in that locker room from the coaches and his teammates, and really starting to form into the leader and the quarterback that they envisioned him to be when they drafted him.
Yep, absolutely. And I just want to remind everyone that BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We are the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. So here's the thing. I've been talking the last few weeks about Daniel Jones before the game ever started, because that was the guy I thought that, would be someone that the Colts could maybe go after this offseason, and on top of possibly going and getting a rookie. I don't know, how that would work out, having a young guy plus a rookie, but I've looked at Daniel Jones over the last 4 years. He's gotten better and better and better every single year. And against us this past week, he had an 80% completion percentage. No turnovers, no sacks, against the sixth best sack defense in the NFL. We were unable to get to him a single time. Now his combine numbers, 4.81 40. Okay. That can't be right. I mean, we're out there on the field with him, Rodney. How quick is Daniel Jones?
I don't know if he's necessarily quick, but he has very deceptive speed. I saw that in Philly. When everybody, of course, the long run, everybody clowned him. Turf Monster got him right at the 10-yard line. I was a part of that, and I think he clocked 21 to 22
Yep.
miles per hour on that. So that shows you the capabilities that he has. But he's really just a very a big big guy in general, right? And so I think that's the surprise to most guys when you get on the field with him is his stature. The fact that he is bigger than you would think kind of gives me a little Josh Allen,
I was just gonna say that.
stature and the way he goes about it. But yeah, it's very effective. It's hard when you have to deal with 26, and then you have to also worry about Daniel Jones keeping it or design runs or bootlegs that can turn into runs. It's an advantage, and so I'm not sure how long you want to put your quarterback at risk, right? Because I've also been I was a part of the game that where he was injured in our game and he had to miss the remainder of the season. So you just have to be careful. But right now it seems to work. He also seems to understand when to slide and when he can put himself not in harm's way to gain extra yards for his team.
Yeah, I think his style of running when it comes to it, I was gonna say his stature kind of reminds you of a Josh Allen, maybe not as big, but he's just in that ballpark. But he's smart about it. Like he knows when that he can take a hit when it's a smaller DB or a smaller type linebacker to where he can absorb a hit, and he knows when he needs to go down. So that's the part that can kind of become frustrating as a defender when you're going against them because when quarterbacks are running and scrambling, I mean, Rodney will tell you we're trying to go tee off. Like that's our one chance to where we can hit him however we want to, and the ref's not going to call anything. And he's real smart about when to go down, like Rodney said, and when he's going to lower his shoulder and try to gain that extra couple yards and running over a defender as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do feel like they need to, as a league, look into those rules, those protection rules, though, because to your point, Bobby got flagged
Yeah.
for a personal foul, but a series or two plays before, you see Daniel Jones staying up, right? He literally tried to stiff arm, him later on a third down, 3rd and 5 play, and so at what point as a defender are you put in a compromising situation? I mean, we're talking about every yard matters, and you don't know, right? The minute you let up, these quarterbacks are savvy. We saw even with Matt Ryan,
Yep.
we're playing the Raiders, and they let up thinking that he's going to give himself up on the sideline or go down, and he cuts back, and it turns into, 10, 15 extra yards. And who knows, that could be a 2-minute, play and be the difference in the game. So I don't know. I think they just have to look at that a little closer and understand and see things from the defender's, point of view sometimes. And I get we do have to protect quarterbacks. Don't, want any hits to the head or anything like that. But at the same time, we are put in a very difficult position when our job is to defend every blade of grass.
Absolutely. I mean, that play you were talking about with Bobby, I mean, I was a little upset because it looked like that Bobby launched at the same time that Daniel started to slide,
Yeah.
And how can you fault a guy when it happens same time, and on top of that, it's not like Bobby followed through.
Correct.
He tried to avoid him as he saw him trying to slide. He was already in the air. But to your point about these, roughing the passer and stuff like that, Nick Foles had his, a big bonus situation go on in that spot where the defender was up in his face, thought that Nick Foles threw the football, but didn't. It was a pump fake. And then Foles was able to, pull it down and then get rid of it as the dude just stand there in front of him. And that is because of, the defender not wanting to get hit with that kind of call. Something has to be done about that, like you say, because it's affecting the game on how it's played at overall.
But it's also affecting players' pockets. That defender, with Nick Foles, I mean, I know he don't want to get a penalty, but he also don't want to get fined, as well. And same with our guys. So, I think they just need to come up with some just clear way that defenders know what they can and can't do. It can't be a judgment type call. I feel like if quarterbacks are going to scramble, I mean, it is what it is. I wonder if a running back is running and he goes to slide at the last second, trying to give himself up and they hit him, are they going to call that the same way they'll call it if a quarterback does it? So I just think it just needs some clarification for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that as well. And, the thing about, I want to get back a little bit on Daniel Jones, because this is a interesting situation that I'm looking at. Did you know that Daniel Jones, his interception percentage is the lowest in the NFL?
Yeah, I think coming into the game, we highlighted that they had some of the fewest turnovers, particularly when it comes to interception. I think he's only on 5 on the year, so it was going to be a great challenge for us to see, how we can create some turnovers, especially when he's doing a good job at protecting it.
But we did get a turnover. Bobby had that punch out. You had the recovery there. Could you take us through that play on what happened?
Yeah, it was a great play by Bobby and Gilly. We come out of halftime and looking to create some sort of spark for our team, knowing that we're first up, and first play of the second half, we come up big, get the ball in our territory and set our offense up, for a potential score, right? To now gain some momentum and start to make this comeback. But on that play, Slayton caught the ball. Gilly did a good job at holding him up. He starts to rake at the ball, and Bobby comes in with the clinic tape on the punch. And I was actually on my way to do the same thing and happened to see the ball come out. I wish I was able to stay on my feet and get some more yards or potentially a score. That would have been great. But at the end of the day, the recovery is good, and now you set your offense up for the ability to be able to put some points on the board.
So I got to ask both of you guys, the injury, Kayvon Thibodeau, on his sack on Nick Foles. And then obviously we know about the injury to Foles, and then Thibodeau had that celebration that while, right beside, there's a lot being said about that. Do you put that on Thibodeau, or do you think that maybe he just didn't realize what was going on? I was just curious, both your guys' thoughts on that.
I think as player etiquette, if you know a guy's hurt, you're not going to do anything to kind of show up the guy. I think that's one of those just unwritten type things that you just know as a player. When I watched the play, it seemed like he rolled over immediately and just started the celebration. So he might not have known that Nick was hurt unless, he could hear Nick screaming on the sideline or something. I mean, screaming right next to him or something like that. But I didn't initially think that he, really knew that Nick was hurt or anything like that, because as players, like I said, you don't want to see anybody get hurt in our game. You want guys to, be able to stay healthy, go home back to their families, and, live their lives how they live it. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Thibodeau knew that Nick was hurt and he just celebrated right in front of his face like that.
Yeah, I gave him a pass initially, right? As soon as he made the hit, I think it was simultaneously celebration for him. And then in that moment, you don't understand the severity of the injury, nor did I'm sure that he saw the injury, right? Like, you're just caught up in the moment. But the minute you go to the sideline and you see what's happening, it looks as if Nick is in serious pain. The way that he's moving on the ground. I was nervous for him. I didn't know if he was seizing up or what was at stake. And immediately, you switch your mindset and it goes into, man, this is a peer of mine. This is somebody that, puts his body on the line the same way that I do. And so now that compassion has to now come into the forefront, and that's all that matters is the health of that player at that moment in time. And so it's disappointing when you see the fact that he took it to the sidelines and gave the sleeping antics
I
as
didn't
if he
see
put
that.
him to sleep, and that's
Oh, I didn't
where
see that.
that's where it crossed the line, to a point where you blatantly disrespectful
Yeah,
now.
that's disrespectful. Yeah, for sure.
And like you said, that's an unwritten rule in the league, and you just don't cross that line. And I mean, we saw that firsthand last night. Imagine if that was something that somebody did in that instance. You don't know in that moment what that injury is going to lead to. So just hoping that he can learn from that moment. He's a young player. He's a good player. But obviously he just has to a little more maturity in that moment. But at the end of the day, glad Nick's he was able to walk off. You see the cart come out, but he was able to get off on his own 2 feet, walk off, man, and lifting, got him up in my prayers as well.
Absolutely. It was good to see him get up. Well, after, like you said, after we saw the cart, things started really getting a little bit hairy right there, and a lot of thoughts went through everybody's minds.
Yeah.
After the injury, though, the young man come out and played quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Jerraud, what'd you think of his play out there on the field?
I mean, I didn't expect too much from Sam. I mean, he's still a young player, still got a lot of learning to do in a tough situation. So I didn't necessarily think Sam was just gonna come out there and light it up, man. I mean, it's a tough situation to be put in, and he tried to do the best that he could in his opportunity.
Rodney, what do you think of the young quarterback's abilities that game? I know you don't watch the offense too much, being that but did you get to sit back and see anything?
Sam clearly was in a difficult situation, having to come into the game under those circumstances. But I felt like he competed, and that's all you can ever ask. He's a competitor, and that's what I've noticed from him from day one. And clearly going against him in practice, he's going to do that no matter what. And so that's all I can do that's all I can ask of any player on the team is give your best, give your all, and be competitive as possible. And so I felt like Sam demonstrated that. He was able to get a touchdown for us late in that game. And, you saw him doing everything he possibly could. And so happy for him, proud of him. And I'm sure, he's going to get another opportunity to go out there and showcase his talents and abilities.
Absolutely. One of the reasons why Saturday moved on from Matt Ryan and went to Nick Foles was he wanted shots downfield. The Colts did get a shot downfield and an amazing play by Paris Campbell. Jerraud, what was your thoughts about the play? I mean, to me, that looked absolutely fantastic. I was so happy for Paris with that opportunity.
I mean, anytime you can make a big time catch in traffic like that, I mean, it just boosts up everything about the day for you. You think you're about to have a day when you have those type of catches, and that's for sure.
Right.
But those are the type of plays that we've been wanting to see all year. Is us take some shots and give guys some opportunities to go down and make plays. But to see Parrish do it with his history of injuries and him being healthy all year and really showing people the type of player that he can be, I mean, that's going to look good going forward for him, whether it's with the Colts next year or somebody else team going into the offseason.
Absolutely. Rodney, your thoughts about Paris and maybe not just that play, but, practice against him, week in and week out?
Hey, man, watch your head. You know what I'm saying? That's what we said after that play. Remarkable grab to be able to do it in traffic like that. And in a critical play, man, that was third down, and that extended our drive and allowed us to go down and get some points. So, man, you've seen him come alive all year. You've seen that confidence build up, and I think slowly you're starting to see his skill set and why the team drafted him, right? And I think the team was also starting to figure out like how to utilize this guy in the best and how can he help us. And you see that in the screen game, his ability to be able to catch the ball in traffic and get yards after the catch, which is huge in this game, and then just make tough grabs, from time to time. So I'm excited for PC, man. Happy, he shared his story with us one time. He was able to speak with the team and learned a lot about him. Didn't know that he suffered as many injuries as he has in his young career, but it's impressive to see, him persevere and his mindset, right, and how that made him a better player and how that made him stronger. And I know firsthand about, having devastating injuries, and it affects confidence and your belief, and you're questioning whether or not you want to continue or you have enough to continue playing. So it's good just to see him in this form, him making plays consistently throughout the year, and praying that, he finishes out this year, more importantly, healthy.
Absolutely. Hopefully he gets rewarded after this season with the kind of play that he's had, and as you said, staying healthy for the entire year. That's a big bonus for him. I think that's going to do it for this episode, as we went over the Colts and Giants. The Colts losing to the Giants this past Sunday in a pretty big way. As you guys were talking about, the Giants were fighting to clinch a playoff spot, and they definitely played like that's what they were doing it for. So congrats to the New York Giants. I think that broke a streak of not making the playoffs since 2016, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So happy for them and their fans. Sucks as a Colts fan though that we lost.
Yeah.
That'll be it. I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. This was Bleav in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts. Okay. So this episode, I think we're just going to mostly, unless there's a game you want to actually go over, most of it will probably be about the DeMar Hamlin situation, because that's the big story right now that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
It's still it's still running too. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Got 3 episodes, but yeah, I'm cutting this part out.
All right. Yeah. No, I was just like, because I'm like, I feel like you normally cut it, and I thought it started over, but that might be me. I probably never pay attention to the
No, if I end recording, then I have to start a whole new thing and send you guys all new links. Yeah, that would be awful. I could just cut it the way I cut it. It's a lot easier for me that way.
Got you.
It's all good though. All right. Just let me know when you guys are set.
Ready? Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Bleav in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Bleav in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, are my guys Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. And today, we have a very serious episode that we're going to go over. First off, I'll tell you what, nobody wants to see anyone ever get injured on the field, right? No one wants to see injuries. Everybody, it's part of the game. It happens, but no one likes to see it. This past Sunday, we saw a few injuries, including one to our very own, actually a couple. We had a concussion as well, right? If I remember correctly. But what happened last night to DeMar Hamlin was to the point that it just brings us all back to the humanity of the situation. Jerraud, what was your thoughts when you actually saw what was going on out there?
Well, I was watching it live, and as soon as it happened, Rodney would tell you, like, you see concussions so much, like guys get woozy and all that. So you know how a guy would react if he gets up too fast and he's woozy and he might have to go back down. But as soon as I saw the way that he kind of collapsed down, I was like, man, I hope his heart didn't stop, man. That looked like a collapse. That's the first thing I said to my wife. And my wife is literally in panic mode. Like you would think that it was one of her kids or myself in that situation, because it just took her back to like being in the stands, watching me, injuries happen and all that, and you just get worried as a family member or a friend or whoever it might be that you're supporting watching that game. So my entire household, literally my kids come from their rooms downstairs like, Dad, did you see just what happened? Like, what's wrong, and all those type things. And I'm trying to calm them down and just like, hey man, let's just pray. Let's just hope for the best, hope that he's okay, and let the doctors do their job, let the trainers do their job. But when it became commercial break after commercial break, he needs oxygen, he need, like, when they start making like little statements like that, that's when I was like, oh man, this is like really really bad. Like this is a serious situation. So I mean, it's just scary. I mean, we hear the cliches all the time, as football players, hey, I'll die on the field, hey, we're going to war, stuff like that. But you literally expect to go back home to your family after every game, and you don't take it to that extent literally, but to see something like that happen, man, it just brings you back down. I mean, it grounds you again and lets you know how serious and how rough this game can be. And I'm praying for his family. I know they said it's a cardiac arrest situation, he's still in critical condition. And I pray that his vitals and everything is back to normal, but I pray that everything comes back, and this guy can continue to live a lifelong successful life that he's had so far.
Absolutely. And it's funny you bring up the whole player mentality when it comes to that. We had a player that's quite famous for his quote. He's now with the Bills, but Naheem Hines, right, as a punt returner, had talked about going out there, and every time he goes to field a kickoff or a punt, he's like, I'm going out there with the thought that I could die on this play, and he's okay. That's what he's going to do. He was out there, when this happened as well. So I would love to get his 2 cents, but at this point, he's not a Colt. So my prayers and thoughts to DeMar, his family, his friends, Bills fans, his teammates, coaches, everyone out there. I feel for everybody. Rodney, what was going through your mind when you saw what was going on out there?
Yeah, I think like you just said, first and foremost, prayers go out to his family and friends and teammates and everyone who's connected to Jerraud, and witness what we all did last night. And I, like Jerraud, my wife and I were watching the game, and this was the game of the week, right? It's prime time, and it has a lot of playoff implications involved. And so everyone's locked in, and just like everybody else, I really thought after the hit that it probably was concussion related, but I began to get worried, as Jerraud said, when they continue to have multiple commercial breaks. Uh, it just felt different,
Mm-hmm.
and I think for everyone, it brought it was a reality check to this sport that we all love. That Jerraud's played since he was little, myself included, and you as well, Lawrence. You've played the game, and the moment you hit the field, you try to remove any thought of an
Hurt.
injury occurring.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is the rule. It's you don't go out there thinking that this play will truly be your last. And not only that, you never think that it will put you in a condition where you're unable to breathe, you're unable to go home to your families, as Jerraud said. And that's what we saw last night. He literally collapsed and laid there breathless for minutes, over 10 minutes of time. And that just puts the game in perspective. I know, we're often as players, seen as these warriors and gladiators, and how we're so conditioned to overlook injuries, but injuries are real, and
Mm-hmm.
injuries not only have a short-term effect, but they have long-term effects. You think about the concussions, and how serious, over the recent years that the league has implemented these rules that we were just addressing to try to eliminate these unnecessary blows to the head, and how the condition of the helmets are so much better for and equipped for these sorts of hits. It's a violent sport, man, and we put our bodies on the line for this game that we love. And for Deron to go through this at such a young age, man, it's so sad to see. And we all make great sacrifices in life and for this sport, but we never wanted to come at the expense of our own life. And the young man right now is fighting for that, and I'm hoping that he makes a full recovery as soon as possible. I know there's so many people just trying to get news. My wife, she's her passion is medical field and concussions and things of that nature. So she's educated me on what it could potentially be, what she thinks, and we just sat there in prayer, just like you guys said, just hoping that, man, some good news would we would hear good news soon.
Yeah.
And the one thing I was kind of appreciative about, normally NFL don't handle these type situations well. I was actually thankful that they did not continue this game.
I'm telling you.
To see the both sides, how it affected the players, and there's no way you can get yourself back ready mentally to play a game when you see a player land on the field breathless. Like you're seeing doctors and trainers that personally having to give CPR to a player. Like, that's a life-changing moment situation for anybody. So for both of the head coaches to come together, because I'm pretty sure it was both head coaches was on the same page about, like, we cannot continue this game. I was happy that the NFL didn't, I guess, pick business over real life situations, because that's what we normally see from the NFL.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Like, they chose us first. For the first time, I would say,
in a real
you know what I'm
situation.
saying? Yeah. And that's what it's about. You need to listen to your players. And it was great to see both coaches, like you said, come together and really just gauge the temperature of their team and listen to what their players had to say. And like Jerraud, man, any other injury, the ones we're accustomed to seeing, you know what I'm saying, strains,
broken bones,
ligament tears, broken bones, they move the ball up 15 yards, and it's like you continue on with practice as if it never happened. And like last night, you can't do that. You can't move the ball up 20 yards and say, let's get to playing. You can't take a 30-minute break and get back to it, because somebody's life is at risk, and and we don't know where he stands in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And you talk about the other plays. It's something that you are prepared for as a player. That you could have a torn tendon or a broken bone or something of that nature. But when you have something of that life threatening happening on the field, I'm going to assume, because I've never had it happen to me in front of me, but I'm going to assume that being out there, that's when things in your own mind start that could be me out there. That could, and at that point, like you said, that's going to change your mentality. It's going to it'd be almost impossible to get your mind back in the right situation to even play the game. So the fact that the NFL did go ahead and postpone the game, I think was a credit to them. Finally, I mean, there was guys out there like Skip Bayless last night that happened. When it happened, he was like, how can the NFL do this? And I'm like, because this isn't like normal situations. This isn't a normal situation at all. I have a question for both of you guys when it comes to big player injuries, where guys, have very serious injuries, and the camera. Should the camera continue to stay on the player and like replay certain things, or should they kind of pull that camera off in very intimate situations for players?
I've seen this discussion a little bit, and it's kind of back and forth for me, because I I mean, when it's happening in real time, you don't know the seriousness of it initially. But as it goes on, of course, you don't want the camera to keep replaying what happened, showing what happened. But on the flip side of it, let's just say that young man's family is not at the game and they don't have any way to communicate or any way to kind of know the seriousness of it or what's going on. So in hindsight, it could help from the communication standpoint of what's going on for his family in specific. Now it's an ugly injury, it's an ugly situation. You don't want the cameras just to keep rolling the replays and just staying on exactly about what's going on right there. But I'm pretty sure that his family and friends that was watching that might not have thought it was as serious initially, maybe just a little bit appreciated the fact that they got some type of information of what was going on because of the cameras and some of the things that was said as far as on the broadcast standpoint about that current situation. So I'm kind of on both sides of it, but you don't want the replays and stuff like that to continue to show for sure.
Rodney?
Yeah, I think I agree with Jerraud, and I think last night they handled it very well. I think as they started to get word of the seriousness of the injury, they respectfully started to zoom out, right, and kind of just do more of a widescreen. But what they did the best was, I think, providing everybody just with consistent updates, because you do have that family member who is at home, who's waiting for some sort of response and really begging, yeah, please get the cameras back on them. But I think at the end of the day, if you can just keep viewers updated just with the information from as a broadcaster, that is the best thing to do in that moment right there. And so I like I said, I respect what they did last night and being able to kind of give him that privacy and allow, doctors to administrate the practices that they need in that moment. There's some things that you just don't want, to share. And I respect them for that. And so, yeah, you kind of play both sides of it, but I think they handled it the best way they could last night.
Absolutely. A lot of support has been shown for DeMar's charity, his foundation, his toy drive. Ever since this happened, the support has been absolutely unreal by friends, families, fans, everybody out there. It's raised to this point over $4.5 million since the injury happened. That shows a lot of support and caring about what's actually going on. So thank you, everybody, because obviously, children are very important, and his foundation donating is one way to show, your thoughts and prayers are with them. Let's move on. Talk about a couple games maybe, and the implications that they've had for this past week. I don't have a lot of time left for this episode, but I do want to get into, boy, them Jacksonville Jaguars look for real, don't they?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
They legit right now. They legit.
man, they just
think-
put a whooping on the Texans.
Yeah, I think the experience just kicking in, man. The more reps and games these young guys play, the more confidence it seemed to, give the team as a whole. I mean, they got young guys all over their roster and young upcoming superstars as well. And whenever you get the right head coach, right coaching staff, and you got stability in the front office and everybody's on the same page, I mean, it just shows you what that can do for a team going forward. And, what they went through with Urban Meyer and that group, I mean, it's completely night and day on how the league is respecting the Jacksonville Jaguars right now.
Yeah, Dougie P, man.
That's your guy.
That's my guy. He's changing the culture there, and that's what you want to see. He's giving direction, and I remember seeing a few guys talk about him. They put a few quotes up from some players, and I think one thing that I witnessed throughout my time there, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't all, you know what I'm saying, Super Bowl champion confetti at every single week. In the 5 years that I played with him, we had dark times. We had 4-7 starts, and we had to fight our way through. But one thing that Doug always did was he made sure that we were unified, that we were consistently together, that the messaging always was consistent, and that we never wavered. And when you always revert back to that, it's like trust the process. And he really ingrained that in us. And so I think he's doing that right there in Jacksonville. You know, you've seen them come back, and it looks as if their season is done, and they just keep pushing and keep fighting, and knowing like they're on that breaking point of really turning the corner. And so they've done that, and now they put themselves in position to win the division, when everybody thought that even with all the guys that they brought in, you know, they were going to be the same Jacksonville Jaguars. But they said otherwise, and they really believe in themselves, and have the utmost confidence in their team, and knowing that they're going to take on the defending champions at home in Jacksonville, to send them into the playoffs. What better stage, man? And on prime time Saturday game, I'm excited to check it out. And I'm mad that I'm not a part of it, right? We're not in the discussion, you know what I'm saying, for this division. But it's gonna be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. Really, especially with the like you said, the difference in the directions the teams are going right now. The Titans are just on a free fall, very much similar to the Indianapolis Colts. And Jacksonville has won a lot of games as of late, and in convincing fashion at that. Another team I could just real quick. If the Lions make the playoffs, can they make noise? Because they just beat the Bears. I mean, the Bears.
Anybody that get in the dance can make noise. It's all about momentum. I mean, I remember Eli Manning and the Giants had to win the last like 5-6 games of the season to get in the playoffs, and when they got in the playoffs, they end up being a Super Bowl champion. So once you get in, all records and what you've done previously that in the season, it don't matter anymore. Now you got to play your best on Sunday. You can't have any hiccups. You can't play subpar. It's whoever is the best that upcoming Sunday. So if Detroit gets in, I think they have the potential to cause some noise. I mean, you got a team that's been hungry for respect. You know, not necessarily just to get in the playoffs. They've been hungry just to have respect around the league. So if that momentum, they get in the playoffs and that momentum keep riding, man, like I said, anybody that's in the dance can cause damage to anybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal a Philly quote, man. Hungry dogs run faster. You know, and they're right now they're hungry for it all, for a win. And it's exciting to see, you know, how this 17th game has really just stirred things up around the league consistently over the past couple seasons. And, you know, now they have to go to Green Bay. You know, if you really want it, then, you know, you're gonna have to go get it versus one of the best to do it.
I was about to say, and they're hot. And Green Bay's hot, you know, and
they just smoked the Vikings,
you know. So you look at Green Bay about 5-6 weeks ago, you know, we wrote them off. I mean, at one point we were saying that Aaron Rodgers needs to go. You know, he's not
quarterback
playing
change, right?
and all that type of stuff. And now you look at him, it's just like, man, they figured it out at the right time. And you know, that's what we said weeks ago. You know, you don't want to be playing your best football at the beginning of the year or middle of the year. You want to be playing your best football in December and January going into the playoffs.
Yeah, but still making sure you give yourself, like, obviously, you know, a chance to staying afloat. But it's been impressive to watch, both Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady battle back. You know, both the OGs getting it done, man. And you know, Tampa's clinched, but Aaron Rodgers still has one more before he can grant himself a ticket into the dance. But it is a new season once that playoff start. You know, it doesn't matter what you did. And Jerraud alluded to it, but, you know, I'll go back to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers when they won. I think they went off on a winning streak, and they end up winning 8 in a row. If you
Yeah.
talk about the regular season into playoffs, and had to do it in the playoffs all on the road.
Yep.
So
it's tough to do.
yeah,
You're absolutely right. All right, I think that's probably going to do it for this week, talking about stuff that's going on in the NFL. For myself, Jerraud Powers, Rodney McLeod. Thank you guys for watching Bleav in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And until next time, have a good one. And that's it. And that we got the preview game. Are we good on time, Rodney, for yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure that you ain't got, something you got to run to real fast. Okay. You guys mind if I take 1 minute to get me a little bit of coffee?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. My cup's empty.
Got to recharge. Man, how's everything going over there? How's the Christmas, New Year's?
Man, it's going. Kids got us busy, man. My oldest
Out of
son.
school?
Well, they was out. They get ready to go back to school tomorrow. But
Okay.
my oldest son plays like elite travel basketball to where it's like a national schedule. So, we had to go to Dallas right before Christmas, getting ready to go to Cincy in a couple weeks. So it's a lot of fun
Wow.
for us to get us out the
Yeah.
house. But 3 boys, man, everybody plays sports, so our weekends be, just
Jam-packed.
filled, just jam-packed. But, I wouldn't have it no other way. So, it's a lot of fun. What about y'all? You survived the season so far. What you got planned coming up?
Man, shoot, trying to get through this last one first.
Yeah.
And take it from there. Probably end up back in Philly. Probably
Is that
at the end
home?
of Jan-
Philly is
Yeah.
home? Gotcha.
Yeah. So we'll be back there, and you know how it goes. Got to start making those calls for these transportation companies.
Man, I remember all that type of stuff, boy. Goodness gracious. My mom actually going to Philly this coming weekend. She's going to Philly to take
wow.
my sister-in-law to she's a nurse, like a traveling nurse, and she's going to live in Philly for the next, I think, 8 months. So her and my stepdad, they're going to drive her down there and move her in and all that stuff.
Sweet.
Wow.
Yeah, those travel nurses make a good amount of money. Yeah.
Listen, they making guap. That's for sure.
My sister's interested in kind of switching. Right now she's nurse at a hospital, but she's considering converting to the travel side.
Yeah, I got one of my best friends, a travel nurse. She has stayed in New Jersey, New York, Cali. Like she normally moves about every year or so. So yeah, she definitely chasing the money. That's what she said.
Yeah. And allows you to see
the world.
New city.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have not traveled at all. I wish I have. I'm over 45, and I've never been east of Kings Island, Cincinnati, and I've never seen an ocean. I'd love to hit the East Coast at some point just to see the ocean and the metropolises and that whole atmosphere, but just never had the opportunity.
Can't walk slow on the East Coast if you ain't, if you ain't a fast walker. You gotta be able to move now. You'll get lost in the sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. See, it's different because I have been to the Black Hills of South Dakota, right?
I ain't
down by
been to
Sturgis. That's
Nah.
I got family live out there. And that place, that's slow living. You know what I mean?
Ain't been to no South or North Dakota, nowhere near Dakota.
Yeah.
Well, in the summer it's beautiful, but yeah, you don't want to be there in the wintertime. No, no way. It's awful. All right. Well, let's get this breakdown going. We all ready?
Yep.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Bleav in Colts podcast.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, are my guys Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. And today we are going to discuss the final game of the season for both these teams. Divisional rivalry game between the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. Both teams at the bottom of the barrel right now when it comes to wins and standings in the NFL. Man, my big question to both of you: what is there? What goes on in a player's mind in a situation like this, heading into a game like this?
Well, I've been in a situation where we didn't have that 2011 year with the Colts, where they called it the tank for luck year, and I remember still thinking that this is my resume. What I put on tape, that's everything to me as far as job sake. So it didn't matter what the record was. It didn't matter who we were playing. It didn't matter it was the last game of the season. I still had the mindset that I had to perform and do my job at the best of my ability, because that's how I get graded. That's how I get judged as a football player. They watch the tape. So if they put on a tape knowing our situation or knowing that we're not in the playoffs, we didn't have a great year, and then they put on a tape and look like I was one of the problems, that could hurt me going forward. That could make the Colts not want me the next year. That can make other teams in free agency not want me next year. So I still think it's an important game for guys that's still fighting for jobs and guys that's still trying to establish themselves. Not trying to speak for Rodney for any sake, but Rodney don't know if he's going to be a Colt next year or if, another team's going to come and get him. So every rep for him matters. He's going to go out there and try to get 3-4 picks so he can go in the offseason with some more, accolades on his resume that he can negotiate with and things like that. So I think guys still going to be motivated to play because, like I said, this is the only way you get judged. This is the only way you can make money is by what you put on tape. So it might not be a game that means anything as far as playoffs and all that type of stuff, but it definitely means a lot to the players that's going to be playing. Because like I said, it's a lot of people that will watch this tape.
Absolutely. Rodney, I think Jerraud just set your bar for your last game of the year. You got to get a minimum of 3 interceptions, dude.
Minimum. I've done that before in college, 3 in one game, but never in the league. Man, I mean, 3 things come to mind: character, job security, and pride. You know what I'm saying? When you get to this point in the season where, your season has an end date, unfortunately, right? You want to play where you're going to have a chance at the playoffs and win a championship. But even more so when it gets down to these last sort of games, it really shows you who each player is and what they and who they truly are, right? Are they a guy who when everything's going well, right, they're going to give you everything they got. But it's those times when nothing else seems to matter, right? What is that player willing to do? Are they the same? Are they still giving the same amount of effort? Are they still playing with the same enthusiasm and energy and passion? Are they still, communicating properly, playing with good technique, fundamentals? All those things matter, right? And they affect, as Jerraud said, job security. Like your resume is all that you have. The eye in the sky doesn't lie, and it doesn't matter about your circumstances. It doesn't say, on January 8th, the Colts were not extending their season, so that gives them an excuse to not play hard, right? Like, you want good character guys on your team, and at the end of the day, you want your resume to speak loud, and you want to be proud of what you put on tape at all costs. And so those are the things that guys are playing for, that a guy like myself is playing for. And as Jerraud said, any competitor, like if you have any ounce of competitiveness in you, you're going to you got pride about yourself and about your product and about going out there, man, and ensuring that, look, if this is my last game, I'm gonna go out, you know what I'm saying, the way that like for real. Like I don't have nothing. I'm not playing next week. This is it. I'm about to have a whole year off, you know what I'm saying, of football. September be the next time, or July be the next time I suit up again, right? Like fully. So make the most of the opportunity given that's right in front of you. So I know that's what I'm looking forward to, man. I pray. I'm like, man, I need an INT. I'm long overdue for one. It's just like, man, but we're gonna go out there and get it in. But there still is so much to play for, despite not having our season extend after this upcoming Sunday.
So you kind of treat this game like a Super Bowl. Like this is your Super Bowl for this year. You go out there and you put everything on the line because you know it's the last game of the year.
I think you just treat it like it's the next one.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's the
the next
same.
year.
Yeah, it's the same mentality. It's the same. It's another week. It's the last week for sure, but it's just it's the next game. So you don't put any more emphasis on it than you did 2 weeks ago or the week before or whatever it is. You stick to your routine.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the guys that are actually fighting hard for their jobs this year on the Texans is Davis Mills because, as we know, the Texans have currently the number 1 pick in the draft, and Davis is that quarterback for the Texans. Give us a little lowdown on your thoughts about Davis Mills that you've seen so far.
Oh, just I guess with mine, I mean, they've been struggling. I mean, normally, when your team's struggling, you look at the quarterback, situation first. And I know he's a young guy. I think he's had a couple good games here and there, but I think from the consistency standpoint, I mean, it's probably a position that, they're definitely going to consider taking with that first pick. I mean, who wouldn't? When you got a couple guys that you feel like that can come in and give you that security for the future. But yeah, I haven't graded him enough or seen him enough to just make a judgment on what I would do if I was in the Texans brass. But when you look at their record, like you say, I mean, the first thing you do is you look at the quarterback position. Would be no different than our team and what we're going through.
Yeah, I would say consistency, and I haven't put on the tape just yet to look at David Mills as of late. But what I do know is they're a competitive team. You look at some of the games that they played, and so even though I alluded to consistency, I think he's still putting that team in good position to win games. Dallas came down to the last drive. That wasn't on him. That was the defense who allowed Dallas to go down and win that game.
98-yard
City,
drive. Yep.
yeah, Kansas City, they lose by 3 or something in overtime. So the ability is there, man. And despite their record, the same way, despite our record, they're going to bring their best. And they just like us have a lot of had close, a lot of close losses, and it could have swayed and went the other way. So I'm not sliding, David Mills at all. I feel as though, they may address that quarterback position just because of what's happened in that franchise, since the loss of Watson, right? And knowing that quarterbacks, will take you a lot further, right? Having someone in place who's consistent and you can, rely on. But no doubt about it, though, he's going to bring his best, and we have to do the same.
Absolutely. And we talk about earlier about there's no tank in players. It wasn't more evident than just 2 weeks ago when the Texans beat the Titans, right? If there was a tank, they wouldn't have tried to win that. They would still be trying to hold on to that first pick. They'd be losing.
Yeah.
So those guys went out there and they played their butts off against a divisional rival and beat them. So, and we're going to expect another hard fought divisional game this week between the Colts and the Texans, two teams that know each other very, very well. Is there a player on this offense, Rodney, when Jerraud, that you feel like, he's a guy to really watch, that he could really, do a lot of damage for the Texans?
Two guys, Pierce, the running back,
Mm-hmm.
and Cooks.
Pierce needs about 50 yards to go over 1,000. And, anytime a running back can reach that 1K mark, I mean, that's a successful year. That's kind of how they get judged off of. So I think Pierce has been, if there's any type of bright spot that you want to kind of look at with that Texans offense, Pierce has been probably the most consistent one.
Yeah.
Is he still playing? Is he on? He's on injured reserve.
Oh, is he?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
Yep.
I didn't. Yeah,
Is
I didn't
he
know
had
that
an
either.
ankle injury against the Cowboys. He will not be there. The running
Ah.
backs that we will be facing, that the Houston Texans have, is Royce Freeman, Rex Burkhead, and I cannot pronounce the last name on this. Dare, Dare is his first name, and I cannot pronounce Ogun Bawali. I probably chopped that up really bad, and I'm sorry if I did. But those are the running backs they got, and then Troy Hairston, their fullback. That's weird that they're rostering a fullback. That's not a common thing in the NFL anymore.
Yeah, but it shows you their identity. You know, they are old school 21, 12, you know what I'm saying, 13 formation team,
Lovie
right?
Smith.
And so
Yep.
yep. And do things, you know, manage the game, don't lose it, don't turn the ball over, play, you know, good defense and play action pass, try to attack down the field. But it is disappointing that I had no idea and that Pierce was hurt. And that's why it's hard to pay attention to, you know, other teams during the season. You don't find out until the week of, right? Unless it was, you know, something serious, right, or happened on a primetime game that was, you know, visible. But he was having a real good year, and I know he runs hard. You know, he's gonna have a good career.
Yeah. They do have a burner at the Y. That used to be an Indianapolis Colt right now, Philip Dorsett, which is weird that he's playing the Y. But because he's a smaller stature receiver, but he's a big time burner. You know, Jerraud, did you play with Philip during that little stretch?
No, he's young.
I'm old.
Yeah,
I know he's been around for quite a while. I mean, he was part of the Grigson era, so.
They got Brandon Cooks too, though.
Yeah, he's a burner too.
No question.
Small stature, but he gets it done.
Yeah, he does. So, you know, that's the situation. So this is kind of run hard and then take your shots. Is that kind of like the mindset you feel of the Texans since they got that kind of that setup?
That's what I'm thinking. You know, so much has changed since the first game. So, you know, you have to look at just the previous four or teams who play similar defense to as us, you know, to really get a good feel for who they are at this point in time. And the same for them, right? Like we're a completely different offense than we were week one. You know, we know the changes that have been made, not only from head coach, but now quarterback. So two totally different teams that you're looking at from week one now to week 17.
Absolutely. Okay, so there is one guy on this defense that again, Colts know quite a bit, and you know he made his name with Buffalo though. That's Jerry Hughes, and he came over to the Texans, and early on this year he really made some impactful plays. Your thoughts about Jerry Hughes?
Jerry's my guy. I played with Jerry. He was a rookie when my last year with the Colts, and Grigson didn't think too kind of him, and they traded him to the Bills, and he became a Pro Bowler. Jerry's a hell of a player, man. You know, he's one of those vet guys that I bet when Houston brought him in, that was one of the main. Even though he's a good pass rusher, he's still getting sacks and doing all that, but he's a great locker room guy. He's a great leader. He's won a lot of football games in this league as well. So he's definitely probably still got a little chip on his shoulder about how his career ended with the Colts, and he will definitely be motivated on Sunday to cause some damage. Just knowing Jerry personally, he'll definitely be motivated.
Okay. Any thoughts about the game just in general? Either one of you want to discuss when it comes to, you know, how we should play them offensively, defensively, anything that stands out about this last game of the year? Obviously, no one wants this game to end the same way that week one ended, right? No ties.
Lord, please. I just want to win, man. I just need a win in my life right now. So,
get a win, ride it off in the off season. It's always good to enter enter the offseason with a W. So I'm pretty sure both teams is going to be feeling that way, and I just hope both offenses just open up the playbook, just let it all out. We ain't got nothing to hide no more. They ain't got nothing to hide. Just let it all out. Let's see if we can score as much points as we possibly can. But like Rodney alluded to earlier, though, you're gonna find out true guys' character. All the guys' character that's playing the game and who really love the game and who really loves playing football at the end of the day. So this would be one of those games to where it won't be hard to see who's gonna win this game in the first quarter just by the intensity from the teams. You're going to know exactly who's going to, come out with a victory at the end of it.
I want to, for the most part this year, this Indianapolis Colts defense has played freaking lights out. I love the way that this defense is built. I hope that the majority, if not all the pieces of this defense is here next year, including the DC, whether he's DC or head coach, I don't care. But real quick, if you guys had to name a defensive MVP for this team, and then maybe some honorable mentions, if you could drop it now, Rodney. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. I understand that's throwing names out there that are your teammates, but you're welcome to if you want. Jerraud, I'll open it up with you.
I'm gonna go with Gilly. I think it was a lot of questions about Gilly coming into this season. A lot of people thought he was old. A lot of people thought he didn't have it no more and all these, things. And I was one of the ones that when we got Gilly, it was just like, man, I don't know why people think that he's fell off when he came back to Carolina for those last 6-7 games, however many it was when he came back from injury, he was still playing elite level football. And I think that he proved this past year that he can still cover number one receivers and he can still lock down an island and he can still make plays. I think he has a lot of football left in him. And I thought he was a tremendous piece added to what we needed just from this defensive standpoint. Now, if we would have had the machine and Darius, healthy the full time and Kenny Moore healthy the full time and all these other guys that was kind of banged up. And our defense played well all year. There's no telling how good our defense would have been even more with our main playmakers healthy all year. So I thought Gilly came in and he did his thing.
Rodney, is there anyone you want to throw out there?
No, gotta keep it in the DB room for sure. Gilly Lock has come in and made his presence felt all year, and it's no reason. He's the reason why we've had a lot of success, particularly in the pass game, being able to eliminate team's number one receiver. And proving that he still is one of the best to do it, even at year 11, late in his career, battling injuries. And he's been at the forefront of all of our wins and a huge reason why. Sealing games, ending them on interceptions, pass breakups, you name it, he does it. And so he does get my vote for defensive MVP. And I think an honorable mention, the young man who was captain on special teams, but now rewarded with the opportunity to start due to the injuries of Shaq, who's been a very dynamic player for this Colts organization and defense for years. But Zaire came in and made the most of his opportunities. Tackling machine, does it all. High energy guy, and a good leader for us on defense. So. I would also give him honorable mention, and then up front, man, it's tough. Yeah. Yep. It's tough. You have obviously Buck, who's another great leader. Is hard to stop up front in the run game, and particularly in the pass game, and how he's so effective. And you have Big Grove right next to him.
Grove had a hell of a year, man.
Yeah,
hell of a
year. So. It's hard. And then, my man Yannick from the crib, man, he's, 9.5 sacks. Season ended abruptly, unfortunately. But there's so many lights to this defense. I mean, Bobby as well, who's right there besides Z. Like
Right.
you can point to a lot of people
Absolutely.
amongst the defense who have contributed along the way to our success, and it's been good to be a part of this group, man. And despite um despite us not having to win a record, we constantly go out there and play for one another and battle to the end, no matter what.
So a lot of your honorable mentions are my honorable mentions as well. I mean, you named basically everybody except yourself, and I'm dropping you in the honorable mentions,
Man,
Rodney,
hell of a
because
year.
you have
Hell of a
played
year,
a
man.
hell of a year. Okay, yeah, absolutely. You went out there and made some big. You may not have the interceptions, all right, but it's not all about the interceptions. All right, it is. I understand as a player, it is on the stat sheet, it is, but on the film, you have balled this year.
I appreciate
Absolutely
it, guys.
balled.
Hey, not to go off subject, Rodney, but have you took Rodney Thomas under your wing?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because
Yeah, look, yeah.
I see some, like when he shows some flash, like he might be one of the better open field tacklers I've seen in a long time. Well, when I say a long time, just a young guy that comes in that understands angles and all that. So when
Yeah.
as a player, when I sit and watch and I see little things from him, I'm just like, all right, he got Gilly on the outside. That's like a mentor that knows the game, that can give him the game. And I said, then I'm like, well, he got Rodney, that's probably sitting next to him in the meeting rooms, that's giving him a lot of game and stuff like that. Because I think that he's going to become a damn good football player.
Yeah, I do as well, man. I see it like you said, for him to be as young as he is and having the right angles. He's a very good eraser tackler, and we emphasize that a lot on the defense. And I drop nuggets to him all the time. Credit to Mike Mitch, who
Mike
was another,
Mitch, yes.
good safety playing that free safety position. I told him all the time, man, like this is the first time for me that I played down in the box for, what I'm saying, my entire career. I'm accustomed to being in the post. And so it's good to see how much range he also has, the ability to make plays on that ball, man. So he still has a lot to learn, but man, I tell him, I'm like, look, your young career, you've picked off some good quarterbacks early on. You just got to stay consistent, man. Don't get complacent and just keep learning. But yeah, he's been a real bright spot, and really a surprise to a lot of people. But I saw it in camp, just his ability to work. Doesn't say much, quiet, takes in a lot of information, but goes out there and plays and is always in the right spot.
Now, I'm not trying to downplay Thomas's his play out there on the field. I agree with you guys. He has been a very big bright spot for the young rookie. But I have a question. Is I see a lot of times where he shoulder lead tackles without the wrap. Is that taught?
It's a young thing. It's a college thing. You go in the league. I did that. I tried to shoulder hit Maurice Jones-Drew and about ended my career.
Yeah.
When you're young and you come into the game, you think that, you come from college and you think you're the strongest man in the world. You've been knocking people out and all that. And then you realize these are grown men out here. So when Rodney says he got some things that he still has to learn, that's just the nuance of learning how to tackle in the NFL. So that'll be something that'll be probably better going forward from his career now. But I mean, when I was young, I was trying to shoulder tackle a lot of people that I should have and miss some tackles. So he'll learn from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was just making sure. I didn't know if that was something that was taught in the NFL or if you're like, no, you can bleed with your shoulder, but make sure you get your arms around too,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I know that the offense hasn't been as explosive and consistent as a lot of us would have liked this year. But let's drop our MVP for the offense as well, and then we'll do special teams afterwards. I think I'll lead off with the offensive MVP, and it's difficult because no one's really had an outstanding spectacular year, in my opinion. I I'm going to give it. It's funny. He doesn't lead the team in anything, but I think just the fact that you got Quentin Nelson. I think he's a guy who's for the most part played well for the year. He made his Pro Bowl. Obviously, a little of that has to do with name recognition, I think, but still, one of the better players across that offensive line. But Michael Pittman Jr., I think he's that guy that, no matter which quarterback, all three quarterbacks that were out there, they all have leaned on him from one time or another. And for the most part, he has been the guy who has came through when they do lean on him. So I think I'd give it to him. Jerraud?
I probably agree. Yeah, I probably go with Michael Pittman. I would say Quentin, but we had some struggles on the O line. So I don't want to just single out a guy and say that only one person had a good year, because when it comes to O-line play, everybody knows that it's a collective. The only way that you're gonna be successful is the man that's right next to you is doing his job as well. But I'll probably say Michael Pittman. He was when his opportunities came, I think he took advantage of the majority of them and tried to be the number one receiver that we all believe that he can be.
Rodney?
Yeah, I agree. We're all in unison on this one. Pitt, he packs his best every single week, man, and accepts whatever challenge he has. And I love his spirit, love his competitiveness. And when you need a play, you go to 11 for sure.
Yeah, definitely. For special teams, honorable mention for a guy the last few games that has really came out and tried to throw his name out on the ring. Flowers, Dallas. He has really came out as a return man, right?
Yeah.
And thrown some spark into some of these returns. I questionable on some of the returns when he's got to reach out the back of the end zone to grab the stinking ball in the first place, then bring it out. I'm like, I don't know if I would have done that, but
yeah, he got the green light. He got the green light from coach, man.
All right.
Yeah.
That tells you he is very confident in his ability to return the balls. But I got to give it to Chase McLaughlin. He has been absolutely pinpoint accuracy. Lights out when it kicking field goals this year.
Yeah, I agree that, I mean, those two guys that you just mentioned has been the bright spots of the special teams group. So I think I'm going to agree with you on this one, Lawrence.
Rodney?
I'm in agreement as well. Shout out to the DB room again, man. Dallas Flowers coming through. Another guy who just discover. I'm not gonna lie, like, and we joke about it all the time. I didn't realize he was that fast. Like, it's very deceptive. It's very deceptive. And he got in an argument, I remember in camp, talking about he was one of the fastest in the room, and everybody's like, "You what?" Like, nah. And you see him hit, burst through those holes, man. And he's a very bright spot to the team, special teams, like you said, a returner. So shout out to Dallas, man, and Chase has been killing it too. Much respect.
Yeah. In training camp, you kind of saw a little bit in training camp of his return ability, and they only did it for a little while, and then they went away from it. But you kind of saw it was, like you said, I think it's his stride. You just don't see his speed because his stride is so long, right?
Yeah.
So that I think that has a lot to do with it. But I think that's going to do it for this episode. I think we covered quite a bit. Let's go ahead and drop our predictions for the game. Jerraud, who you got? And score prediction?
I got the Colts 35-20.
Wow. And Sam's supposed to start this game, right? I assume, or is he going back to Matt?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. There hasn't been an announcement to my knowledge. So, but either way, you got a win there, Rodney. You haven't selected. No, I don't think the Colts are going to win this week at all, ever all year. I don't see that happening either. So, not when you're on the team. I got the Colts winning this game as well. I I feel like that, that they've been on this losing so long and they haven't tasted a W. You got to walk out with a little bit of confidence at the end of the year, a little bit of, feeling better about yourself before you go home. I think the Colts win this game. I feel like there should be some turnovers for the defense in this game. 3 interceptions, maybe 4. But 24-13 is what I got. Colts over Texans. So I think that's going to do it for myself, Jerraud Powers, Rodney McLeod. This was Bleav in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.